Welcome to Discovering. I'm taking the night off, so tonight we'll take a look at a show from the past. Tonight it's a backcountry campsite and a tent.
We have lots of campsites here at Craig Lake Park, but those people that kind of want to really get away from it all, they can portage to different lakes, or there's campsites all around the lake. Although it's not your typical state park campground, it's more of a backcountry experience. But it's just kind of a wilderness camping experience. It's just kind of a more wilderness setting, and it's not hard-packed campsites. It's really kind of, you're in the middle of nowhere.
Stick around, that's tonight right here on Discovery.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
At more than 8,400 acres, Craig Lake State Park offers plenty of room for exploration. Its 6 main lakes provide acres of water for canoeing, kayaking, and of course fishing. On Craig Lake you'll find 9 campsites to call home, or venture even deeper by portaging to one of the surrounding lakes. Campsites are first come, first serve. Simply drop your info and payment into the standard self-pay money pipe at the gate and you're on your way. For us, it would be Craig Lake. Doug filled me in on some of the fishing possibilities, which included musky. I'm fully aware that it's known as the fish of 10,000 casts, and I've filmed enough musky fishing to verify that statistic. We'd be lucky if we had time for 1,000 or so casts. But just the thought of Patty hooking into a musky of any size on light gear while fishing from a canoe was too enticing to pass up. So we packed up the canoe and set off to find a campsite on Craig Lake. We decided to shoot for one of the 3 sites about halfway down the lake. With finding a spot and setting up camp being the first order of business, we headed directly to our potential campsite, passing up what I'm sure was at least 100 successful casts along the way. Lo and behold, there it was, this awesome rock point sticking out into the lake. On top, the perfect campsite. No need to look any further. Our new home had a fire ring, a makeshift table, and a view that already makes this trip a success. There's something that feels so unique about camping on a spot accessible only by water. For obvious reasons, yes, it's more remote, more secluded, but it's something more. It somehow feels more satisfying and rewarding. It feels like more of an achievement when your transportation is a canoe and your closet is a backpack. Maybe it's because you're doing something not everybody does. Or maybe I've just been waiting so long to get out here and do this, it's all in my head. All I know is, we just got here. And I already feel like I could stay for the summer. Well, with the business of finding a home taken care of, it was time to move in. When you think about it, a tent is really not much more than a raincoat/bug shield. It offers no structural protection. It won't keep a tree off your head or a curious bear out of your sleeping bag. But yet, it's all we need to make sleeping outdoors comfortable. Some firewood, lunch, musky time. Okay, I really don't expect to catch a muskie with a few spoons, 10-pound test, my very limited muskie know-how, and nowhere near enough time to throw 10,000 casts. But knowing that this lake has an overabundance of them is certainly enough to convince myself that the possibility does exist.
Yeah, the muskie, they're more overpopulated in this lake. And people tell me stories, they're out there canoeing, fishing for maybe northern or something, and they catch a muskie, and in their canoe they have the tail of the fish sticking off the one gunnel, comes all the way down, and then the head coming off the other side, and they're unhooking it, trying to get it back in the water. And very often they, if you have your walleye stringer, you have to be careful with your stringer of panfish and walleye, because the muskie will come and grab that, and then you pull up your stringer and you have caught a muskie too off your stringer. So really popular, and it's been catch and release muskie forever, so there's a lot of muskie in here. So much muskie that Fish Division had to take some out.
There was a spot on the map right out in front of our rock that said muskie. I can't ask for more than that. Matter of fact, I'll take that as an omen, a sign of good things to come. Visions of a giant muskie pulling our canoe around the lake keep popping up in my mind, like a song that you can't get out of your head. 9,999, 9,998, 9,997. Okay, this isn't working at all. Maybe we should try for some bass instead. A variety of fish indeed swim the waters of Craig Lake. Muskie, pike, and bass, all of which fall under the lake's catch and release regulations. It is, however, also home to crappie, bluegills, and walleye, which are legal to keep and would fit perfectly into my awaiting frying pan. No better way than a Yooper fire starter. Unfortunately, all of these elusive species are still free to call Craig Lake home. But not to fret. I came prepared for just such a predicament. Not only did I bring all the fixings necessary to complete a perfect fish fry, I also brought fish. The makings of a perfect fish fry include beans, potatoes, a bit of egg thinned with a splash of beer, some breading, a pan, and a fire. It's amazing the effect your surroundings can have on your taste buds. The best fish fry in the nicest restaurant cannot compare to a pan full of golden fillets cooked over an open fire, served on a tin plate at a quiet, remote, secluded Upper Peninsula backcountry campsite. The kind of surroundings that can turn a meal into an event to remember. Someday I'm certain we'll be sitting back talking about our trip to Craig Lake. And without a doubt, this simple plate of food will be a huge part of the memories. After a good meal, it always feels good to kick back and relax. And I can't think of a better way to do that than in the seat of a canoe, with a fishing rod in hand, on a dead calm lake in the middle of nowhere, watching the sunset. It's nearly impossible to wake up in the morning with this in front of you and not have it influence the rest of your day. Whenever I'm hiking in or canoeing in somewhere to camp, I automatically try to keep my gear to a minimum. Travel as light as possible. Pack only what I must have for the trip. But sometimes bringing certain items that I wouldn't normally take along can make a great trip just a little bit better. Things like a lawn chair. Having a comfortable place to sit down and relax feels great. Sometimes it's the seemingly insignificant things you do that can make a significant difference. I don't necessarily need a fire on a warm morning, but it feels good. For me, a fire and a cup of fresh ground 906 Outdoors campfire roast are a must. I could certainly get by with some freeze-dried breakfast, but a good entree of scrambled eggs, ham, onions, peppers, and cheese with a side of toast is pretty hard to beat. Well, all of the details of the trip were behind us. Finding a campsite, setting up camp, firewood, dinner, breakfast. There was nothing left to do now but fish.
Craig Lake is probably one of my favorites here. It has lots of different species of fish. We have the musky, northern pike, bass, crappie, lots of nice crappie. Walleye, you can keep walleye.
The fish of the day, smallmouth bass. The lure, anything topwater. On this day, the fish didn't seem to matter all that much. Just being out fishing was good enough for me. We were plenty happy just paddling around Craig Lake and seeing the sights.
I especially like to canoe Craig Lake because it's not a big round lake. It's a kind of a long, and you come around corners where you have this little harbor or granite cliffs, or islands, small little islands with granite and a few trees with an eagle flying off of it, or come around these corners and you're exploring, and it's really, really unique. I like lakes like that because you don't have a lot of wind problems blowing your canoe all over the place, and you can explore.
I would have liked to get into some walleyes or crappies, but it's tough when you're on a new lake for such a relatively short time. I don't doubt a bit they're here. Just takes a bit to find them. Maybe next time I'll spend a couple of days hunting crappie. Then another trip targeting walleye. Maybe a portage into Crooked or Clare to see what's biting on those lakes. And then on the next trip well, you get the picture. Sometimes the species, size, and quantity of fish is not the top priority. Sometimes maybe the measure of success is not the fish at all. It's just getting out on the water on a nice day. Checking out what's around the lake and on top of the water, as much as what's under the surface. If we determine the success of a day by those measurements, we can never be unsuccessful. Never disappointed. It's always a good day of fishing. If it's solitude you seek, you can find it in many places. Solitude is described as the quality or state of being apart from all human beings or remote from society. You can certainly find that here. I think, though, that solitude means more than just being in a place like this. It's the peace you find in a place like this. The realization again that there is more to life. The realization that all of this is important. And it's important to be here to see it for yourself, to be part of nature instead of just passing through it, to find your own solitude. I'm always amazed at how the outdoors has the ability to so easily put things into perspective. Nature will automatically keep all things in perfect balance. For every significant one thing, there's an equally important, insignificant other thing. I go fishing for a day and end up with a beautiful stringer of perfect walleyes. Where I was standing in the boat when I caught them is completely insignificant. But yet I stand here, at the point of the giant patio at the front of our campsite, watching the morning fog creep by as if to escape the impending sunrise. Two loons talk to each other across the otherwise dead silent lake. My Rapala lands and sends rings across the flat mirror-like surface of Craig Lake. Whether or not I catch a single fish is absolutely insignificant because of where I'm standing. When I go to a restaurant, I expect a clean plate, someone to wait on me, and a steak cooked exactly the way I ordered it. I sit here in my lawn chair, staring down at my tin plate covered with crispy golden walleyes, deep fried over an open campfire, seasoned with my surroundings and wood smoke. Whether or not I even have a fork is insignificant. However this adventure plays out, regardless of how many emails I have waiting for me back home or how many phone calls I have to return, regardless of whether or not the lawn needs to be cut or I get those potholes fixed in the driveway, I know it'll all seem much less significant because of this place. And I take comfort in the fact that I know I can set free all of my worries and concerns. Because as long as I'm in the outdoors, nature will automatically keep all things in perfect balance.